The bustling terminal at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport hummed with the energy of travelers on a bright Tuesday morning in May. Among them stood Elena Torres, a 31-year-old woman with warm hazel eyes and a cascade of dark hair pulled into a loose ponytail. She balanced her 8-month-old son, Lucas, on her hip, his tiny hands clutching a plush toy plane. Opposite her was her husband, Daniel Harper, a 45-year-old man whose salt and pepper hair and steady gray eyes hinted at years of hard-earned wisdom. Daniel adjusted his leather briefcase, the faint lines around his mouth deepening as he smiled at his family. "I hate that we're not sitting together," Elena said, shifting Lucas to free a hand and tuck a stray curl behind her ear. Her voice carried a mix of affection and mild frustration. First class was all they had left after that last-minute meeting popped up. I told them to snag you a window seat and coach at least. Daniel's tone was light, but his eyes softened as he reached out to tickle Lucas's chubby cheek, earning a giggle from the boy. At 45, Daniel was the CEO of Horizon Ventures, the parent company of SkyWest Airlines, a role he'd assumed 3 years prior after a high-profile merger that had dominated business headlines. "It's just a 5-hour flight to Chicago," he reassured her, his voice a calm anchor. "You and Lucas deserve the extra leg room up front. Besides, I've got a stack of reports on the McAllister deal to plow through, no distractions back there." Elena nodded, understanding the weight he carried. She'd married Daniel 4 years ago, still adjusting to life with a man whose decisions rippled across thousands of employees. An urban planner by trade, Elena had taken a break from her career after Lucas's birth, dipping her toes back into freelance projects only recently. "Don't forget, we're meeting the Wilsons for dinner tonight," she reminded him, noting the faint shadows under his eyes. "Try to catch a nap, okay?" Daniel chuckled, leaning in to kiss her forehead. "Promise. Now go enjoy those fancy seats while I rough it with the masses." Elena laughed, her tension easing. "You're the least stuffy CEO I know, that's why your team adores you." "One of my many talents," he winked, glancing at his watch. "Time to roll. I'll catch you in Chicago." Elena watched him stride toward security, his broad shoulders cutting through the crowd. A flutter of nerves danced in her chest. Her first solo flight with Lucas loomed ahead. She'd packed meticulously. Diapers, spare outfits, a rattle, formula bottles, everything she could think of. Still, the unpredictability of air travel with a baby gnawed at her. At the gate for SkyWest, Airlines Flight 319, the boarding line snaked forward. Elena approached the counter, juggling Lucas and their boarding passes. "Morning," she said with a tired smile, handing over the documents. "We're in 2A and 2B. The gate agent, a woman in her late 30s with a badge reading Marla, scanned the passes, her brow furrowing. "I see you've got an infant. Did you book a separate seat?" "No, he's a lap child, it's noted there," Elena replied, pointing to the reservation. Marla's lips pursed. "Age?" "8 months," Elena said, surprised. "I've got his birth certificate if you need it." Marla's skepticism lingered. "Policy requires age verification for lap infants, and if he gets fussy, you'll need to keep him quiet. Other passengers expect calm." Elena's cheeks warmed. "He's usually fine, but I've got everything to manage him." Marla handed back the passes with a stiff nod. "Enjoy your flight, Miss Torres." The use of her maiden name still on her ID stung faintly, but Elena brushed it off, focusing on the jetway ahead. Lucas squirmed as she maneuvered their carry-on, her heart thudding with the weight of the unknown. At the aircraft door, a flight attendant with a bright smile greeted her. "Welcome aboard. First, class is to your left." Relief washed over Elena as she stepped into the spacious cabin of the Boeing 737, settling into her seat with Lucas. She stowed essentials in the seat pocket, her son's curious eyes tracking the bustle around them. In coach, 12 rows back, Daniel settled into his window seat, laptop already open, oblivious to the storm brewing ahead. The first-class cabin of Sky West Flight 319 exuded quiet luxury. Plush leather seats, soft lighting, and the faint hum of the engines as the plane taxied from the gate. Elena Torres adjusted Lucas in her lap, his tiny fingers gripping her necklace, as she arranged their space. Across the aisle, an older man with silver hair and a kind smile settled in. "What a handsome little guy," he said, nodding at Lucas. "How old?" "8 months," Elena replied, returning his warmth. "I'm hoping he'll snooze most of the way." "Name's George," he offered. "My grandkids are past this stage, but I remember the drill." "Elena, and this is Lucas," she said, grateful for the friendliness. Their chat was cut short by the arrival of flight attendant Karen Mitchell, a 42-year-old veteran with 17 years at Sky West. Her blonde hair was pinned in a tight bun, her uniform crisp, her makeup sharp. "Drink before takeoff?" she asked George, her smile polished. "Water, please," he said. Karen turned to Elena, her expression cooling as her gaze landed on Lucas. "And you?" "Water too, thanks," Elena replied. Karen's eyes lingered on the baby, a flicker of unease crossing her face before she moved on. Elena's stomach tightened an instinct she couldn't shake. In coach, Daniel Harper pulled out his noise-canceling headphones, diving into the McAllister acquisition reports. The deal was thornier than expected solid numbers, but whispers of internal friction at McAllister Corp could derail integration with Horizon Ventures. As the safety video played, he stowed his laptop, a habit born from respect for the crews. He'd met early in his tenure. After Horizon acquired Sky West, he'd shadowed flights, listened to staff gripes, and pushed reform small acts that earned him rare loyalty from employees. The plane lifted off, soaring over the Texas plains, and Daniel resumed work, cocooned in focus. Up front, Elena fed Lucas a bottle during ascent, easing his ears as the cabin pressurized. He drank contentedly, his eyes drooping a small victory. 40 minutes in, though, trouble stirred. Lucas finished his bottle and squirmed, his soft whimpers signaling exhaustion. Elena tried rocking him, humming a lullaby her mother had sung, but he grew fussier. "Everything okay?" George asked, his tone gentle. "He's overtired," Elena whispered. "Missed his nap with the airport chaos." "My daughter used to pace the aisle," George suggested. "Motion might settle him." Elena nodded, grateful. "I'll try that once the drink cart's done." Karen approached with the beverage cart, her movements precise. "Water, right?" she asked Elena, her voice flatter than with George. "Yes, thank you," Elena said, juggling Lucas as he let out a sharp cry. Karen's jaw tightened. "Ma'am, you need to keep him quiet. People here paid for peace." The words stung, laced with an edge that caught Elena off guard. "I'm trying," she said, keeping her tone even. "He's usually great on flights, just a rough day." Karen's eyes narrowed. "Maybe you should have thought of that before booking first class. People expect calm up here." The implication landed like a slap that Elena in her leggings and hoodie didn't belong. "I paid for my seat," she replied, instantly regretting the defensiveness. "Just keep it under control," Karen snapped, moving on. George shot Elena a sympathetic look. "Don't let her get to you. Babies are tough, she's forgotten that." Elena forced a smile, her chest tight. She refocused on Lucas, his cries softening as she rocked him. When the aisle cleared, she stood, pacing gently. The motion worked. Lucas's eyelids fluttered shut. But as she turned, Karen's disapproving stare pierced her from the galley. Elena ignored it, humming softly, determined to keep her son calm and her dignity intact. High above the Midwest, a Sky West Flight 319 cruised at 35,000 feet. The cabin a mix of hushed conversations and the steady drone of engines. Elena Torres walked the first-class aisle. Lucas cradled against her chest, his breathing slowing as sleep tugged at him. The rhythm of her steps soothed them both, a fragile peace after his earlier fussiness. She'd navigated the drink service, gauntlet, dodging Karen Mitchell's sharp glances, and now savored the quiet. George, across the aisle, gave her a thumbs up, a silent cheer for her success. Then turbulence struck a sudden jolt that rattled the plane. Lucas jolted awake, his wail cutting through the cabin like a siren. The seatbelt sign pinged on, and a voice crackled over the PA. "Ladies and gentlemen, please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts." Elena hurried back, fumbling with her belt one-handed as Lucas's cries intensified. She murmured to him, "Shh, mi pequeño. It's okay." But his distress grew, amplified by the plane's unsteady sway. Karen appeared, arms crossed, her face a mask of irritation. "Ma'am, you need to sit and quiet him now." "I'm trying," Elena said, clicking her belt into place. "He was asleep until the turbulence." "Well, he's not asleep now, and he's bothering everyone," Karen replied, her voice low but biting. "Get something to calm him?" The question felt like an accusation, as if Elena were unprepared. "Yes," she said, reaching for the diaper bag. She offered Lucas a pacifier, he batted it away with a sob. Karen sighed, theatrical and pointed. "Maybe you're not cut out for flying with a baby. People here are trying to relax." The words hit hard, echoing Karen's earlier jab. Elena's, patience frayed, but she held it together. "I get that others paid for this, but so did I. He's having a tough moment, I'm handling it." Karen's gaze hardened. "Not well enough." In coach, Daniel remained oblivious, his headphones a shield as he dissected profit margins, the cabin's unrest a distant hum. 20 minutes dragged by, Lucas alternating between whimpers and wails. Elena tried everything rattles, soft songs, rocking under Karen's frequent, judgmental stares. Then a whiff hit her, a soiled diaper. With the seatbelt sign still on, she hesitated rules versus Lucas's comfort. His cries spiked, and she made her choice. Unbuckling, she grabbed the diaper bag and stood, the plane's gentle rocking a minor hurdle. Karen materialized instantly. "Ma'am, the sign's on, back to your seat." "He needs a diaper change," Elena explained, urgency creeping in. "It'll be quick." "No exceptions," Karen snapped. "FAA rules. Sit down." Frustrated, Elena turned back, but Lucas's flailing arm knocked her water cup, splashing Karen's skirt. "Oh no!" Karen gasped, the cold soaking through. "I'm so sorry," Elena said, mortified. "It was an accident," Karen dabbed. At the stain, fury flashing in her eyes. "Control your kid, this is ridiculous." "He's a baby, not a robot," Elena shot back, her restraint cracking. "I've apologized. What more do you want?" "You're inconsiderate," Karen hissed. "Some people shouldn't fly if they can't handle it." The barb landed, heavy with unspoken assumptions. Elena's Latina features, her casual attire, her struggling motherhood, all in the crosshairs. "What's that supposed to mean?" Elena challenged. "Your attitude," Karen backtracked, though her slip was clear. George half stood. "Everything okay here?" "Fine," Karen barked. "Just enforcing safety." Elena exhaled, shaken. "It was an accident. I'm sorry about your skirt." Karen's anger softened a fraction. "Just sit. I'll get napkins." Elena complied, but as she adjusted Lucas, her purse slipped. Reaching for it, Lucas grabbed at Karen's jacket button. What happened next was a blur, a sharp crack as Karen's hand struck Elena's cheek, the sound slicing through the cabin. The slap reverberated through the first-class cabin of SkyWest Flight 319. A jarring note, louder than the engine's steady roar. Time slowed as Elena Torres stumbled back, her arms tightening around Lucas, who shrieked in startled fear. 22 passengers froze, eyes wide, breaths held, witnessing the unthinkable. Flight attendant Karen Mitchell had struck a mother. Holding her child, Karen's hand lingered in midair, her face morphing from rage to dread as the weight of her act crashed over her. 17 years at SkyWest, countless rude passengers, yet never this a line crossed, her career teetering on the edge. Lucas's wails pierced the stunned silence, pulling Elena from her shock. Her cheek burned, a red welt blooming, but she focused on her son, rocking him instinctively. "It's okay, baby," she whispered, her voice trembling. Karen stood paralyzed, her polished facade shattered. The cabin erupted gasps, murmurs, a woman behind Elena stating flatly, "She hit her. Slapped a mom with a baby." George leapt up, his voice sharp. "Are you all right?" Before Elena could answer, another flight attendant, a younger woman, named Sarah with wide, horrified eyes, rushed over. "What happened?" "I heard she hit her," the woman repeated, unprovoked. Sarah turned to Karen, disbelief etching her features. "Is that true?" Karen stammered. It wasn't." George cut in. "I saw it all. She'd been on her case about the baby crying, then the water spilled, and it escalated." Sarah's shock deepened. "Ma'am," she said to Elena, "come with me, we'll get you settled." Elena nodded numbly, letting Sarah guide her back to her seat, Lucas's cries softening to whimpers. "I need to speak to the captain," Sarah told Karen, who nodded jerkily and retreated to the galley, the weight of watching eyes heavy on her back. Sarah knelt by Elena. "I'm so sorry. Do you need anything? Ice for your cheek?" "I'm okay," Elena managed, "just shaken. My husband's in coach. Can someone tell him?" "Of course," Sarah said. "Name and seat?" "Daniel Harper, window near the back." Sarah's eyes flickered with recognition. Daniel Harper, the CEO whose merger had reshaped SkyWest. "I'll get him," she promised, hurrying off. George leaned over. "Need water? A blanket for the little guy?" His kindness nearly broke her. "Water, thanks," she said, voice catching. Another attendant brought it, along with a cold compress Elena pressed to her cheek. In coach, Daniel worked on, headphones muffling the world, until Sarah tapped his shoulder. "Mr. Harper," he pulled them off. "Yes?" "Sir, come with me. There's been an incident with your wife and son." His heart lurched. "Are they okay? What happened?" Sarah glanced at curious neighbors. "They're fine physically, but there was an issue with a crew member. Please, come to first class." Daniel snapped his laptop shut, unbuckling with a surge of dread. "Lead on," he said, his 6.2 frame towering as he followed Sarah. She briefed him softly. A misunderstanding escalated. "Your wife's cheek is red, but she's okay. Your son's calming down." "A misunderstanding," he echoed, skepticism sharp. "The captain's been notified it's serious," Sarah added as they reached the curtain to first class. Daniel stepped through, spotting Elena cheek-marked, eyes glistening, Lucas in her arms. His gut clenched, anger rising like a tide. Daniel Harper strode into the first-class cabin, his grey eyes locking onto Elena's bruised cheek and the tear-streaked face of Lucas, now quieting in her arms. He crouched beside her seat, his voice, a low, steady balm. "Lena, what happened?" Her composure cracked at his presence, a whisper escaping. "Daniel, the flight attendant slapped me while I was holding Lucas." His face stilled, a dangerous calm settling over him, the kind his boardroom foes knew meant trouble. "She did what?" he asked, steel threading his words. Elena recounted it all. Lucas's cries, Karen's mounting hostility, the spilled water, the slap that stunned the cabin. She'd been sniping at me from the start about him crying, about me being here. It felt personal. Daniel's jaw tightened, a muscle twitching. Where is she? With the captain, Sarah replied, hovering nearby. Air marshals are alerted. Police will meet us on landing. I want to speak to the captain, Daniel said, his tone brooking no argument. Sir, that might not— It's not a request, he cut in. Tell him Daniel Harper, CEO of Horizon Ventures, needs a word. Sarah swallowed, nodding. Yes, sir. He turned back to Elena, brushing her cheek gently. How are you? Holding up? Shocked, she admitted, voice raw. 1 second I'm soothing Lucas, the next— She trailed off, shaking her head. Did she say anything hint at why she singled you out? Not outright, Elena said, but her tone, her looks. She questioned me being in first class, implied I couldn't handle Lucas. It felt like she saw me us and judged. Bias? He asked, voice darkening. Maybe, she conceded. Or she didn't think a stressed mom fit up here. Either way, it's no excuse. Lucas fussed, and Daniel noticed the diaper bag. He need a change? Yeah, that's what started it. I stood despite the sign. Without a word, Daniel took Lucas. Rest a sec, I've got him. The seatbelt. We're past that, he said grimly, heading to the lavatory with a flight attendant's nervous guidance. Elena sank back, eyes closing as the ordeal washed over her. George spoke softly. Your husband's a solid guy. The best, she murmured. He'll be livid, though. Rightly so, George replied. That was unforgivable. Sarah returned. Mrs. Harper, the captain apologizes and asks you both to meet him after landing. Ms. Mitchell's off. Duty now. Thank you, Elena said, noting the shift to her married name, a small sign of recognition. Daniel came back, Lucas calmer, and sat beside her. He's good, he said, handing him over. Captain's tied up, but we'll talk. Post-flight, Sarah added. He's sorry. Daniel's nod was curt. Tell him I expect a full account of how this happened on my airline. Sarah retreated, her unease palpable. Daniel took Elena's hand. How's your cheek? Better with the compress, she said. It's more the shock now. It's assault, he said, voice low. If bias fueled it, that's worse legally and for Sky West. I just wanted a normal flight, she sighed. You deserved that, he replied, squeezing her hand. This says more about them than you. My airline, my responsibility. They sat together, trading off holding Lucas, who finally slept, the crew tiptoeing around them with offers of drinks and quiet checks. Word spread through the plane, whispers of the slap, Daniel's identity. As descent began, Elena's nerves flared anew. Police, statements, fallout loomed. Daniel sensed it, leaning close. We'll handle this together. Something good'll come out of it, I swear. His resolve steadied her, a reminder of why she loved him. He saw beyond chaos to possibility. Sky West Flight 319 touched down at Chicago O'Hare, wheels kissing the tarmac with a soft jolt. Before passengers could stir, an airport police officer, flanked by 2 Sky West reps in suits, boarded. Elena Torres cradled a sleeping Lucas, her cheek still faintly marked, as Daniel Harper stood protectively beside her. Mrs. Torres Harper? The officer asked, his badge glinting. I'm Officer Jackson. We need a statement about the incident. Yes, Elena said, shifting Lucas. Can I settle him first? We've got a private spot for you. Jackson nodded. Mr. Harper, we know you're involved too. One rep stepped forward, her suit crisp despite her unease. Mr. Harper, Mrs. Torres Harper, I'm Laura Grayson, VP of Guest Services at Sky West. We're horrified by this and have a lounge ready for you. Daniel's gaze was cool. Thanks, Laura. We'll talk, but my family comes first. Of course, she said quickly. George paused as he disembarked. Gave my info to the crew. If you need a witness, call me. Thank you, George, Eleanor said, touched. Escorted through the jetway, they rode a cart to a discreet lounge, bypassing the terminal's chaos. Inside, a plush room awaited couches, a crib, a bathroom with a changing table. For your son, Laura explained. Anything you need, water, food? Water and tea, Eleanor said, parched. Officer Jackson lingered. I'll take your statement when you're ready. We're talking to witnesses, too. Daniel took Lucas to the crib, settling him as Elena sank onto a couch, exhaustion hitting hard. Jackson sat across her, notepad ready. Tell me everything. She did Karen's initial chill, the barbs about Lucas, the diaper standoff, the slap her voice steady but edged with hurt. You think bias played a part? He asked. I can't know her mind, Eleanor said, but her comments about first. Class, my attitude felt pointed, maybe my look, my situation, he scribbled. Witnesses? George across the aisle, the row behind me. Got it, he said. Press charges? She hesitated. I need to talk to Daniel. It's bigger than me, with his role. Fair, Jackson replied. Sky West may act anyway. My report's filed. Laura hovered as Jackson left. We're so sorry this isn't who we are. Our CEO wants to speak when you're ready. Eleanor's lips twitched. Your CEO answers to my husband. That'll happen regardless. Laura faltered. I meant Ted Sullivan, Sky West's head, Daniel, oversees Horizon Ventures. I know, Eleanor said, weary. Not today, though. Daniel returned, sitting close. She's out, he said of Lucas. How'd it go? Told him everything, she said. Charges, he asked. What did you say? That we'd discuss it. It's not just us Sky West's tied in. He nodded, thoughtful. What do you want, Lena? Forget the company, what feels right. I don't want to destroy her, she said slowly. She messed up bad, but I don't relish jail for her. I want accountability and answers. Why me? Stress? Bias? Culture? Daniel's eyes warmed. That's why I love you seeing the big picture after all this. So no charges. Maybe, he said. We've got leverage here, turn this into change, not just punishment. What if Sky West overhauls its culture training policies? Restorative, she mused. I like that. Make her part of it if she's willing. Laura knocked, entering with news. A car's ready, your bags are loaded. Ted Sullivan wants to meet tomorrow if you're up for it. Daniel glanced at Elena, who nodded. 10 a.m., my office. Bring HR and training heads. And Karen Mitchell, Elena added. If she chooses to come, not forced. Laura blinked. I'll pass it on. Alone again, Daniel squeezed Elena's hand. You're incredible facing her again. If it's about change, yeah, she said. She needs to see me as a person, not a problem. Remarkable, he murmured, kissing her. Let's get home to Lucas. Chicago's skyline gleamed under a crisp fall morning as Elena Torres and Daniel Harper arrived at Horizon Ventures' sleek headquarters. Elena smoothed her blazer, a faint bruise still visible beneath makeup, her resolve firm. Daniel, in a tailored suit, radiated quiet authority. At 9:45, they entered the executive floor, greeted by Daniel's assistant, Claire. Everyone's here, including Ms. Mitchell, she said, curiosity flickering. In the conference room, 6 figures awaited. Ted Sullivan, Sky West's CEO. Lisa Tran, HR Chief. Mark Evans, Training VP. Counsel David Brooks. Karen Mitchell, Uniform Bearer of Wings. And her union rep, Joan Carter. Silence fell as Daniel and Elena sat. Morning, Daniel began, voice even. We're not here to rehash facts. We know what happened. We're here for why and what's next. Ted cleared his throat. Mr. Harper, Mrs. Torres Harper, I'm appalled by this. We're committed to fixing it. Joan leaned in. Ms. Mitchell accepts discipline, but has a 17-year clean record, 2 minor issues. What issues? Elena asked. Lisa answered, a crew dispute 5 years back and a rudeness complaint 3 years ago, unsubstantiated. Minority passenger, Elena pressed. Silence confirmed it. Bias shaped how Karen treated me from the start, Elena said. Voice clear. It built to assault. That's not just her, it's your culture. Ted shifted. We take this seriously. No platitudes, Daniel cut in. Action. Karen spoke, voice shaky. May I? Elena nodded. What I did was wrong, no excuse. I'm ashamed, but I didn't target you for race, not knowingly. Unknowingly's the point, Elena said. Your attitude shifted when you saw me. You assumed I didn't belong. Karen faltered. I was tired, stressed the prior flight was rough. We all get tired, Elena replied. But you aimed it at me, why? Mark jumped in. Our training's weak on unconscious bias. This shows we need more. Training's a start, Elena said. But we need policies, reporting, accountability, a culture shift. What specifically? Lisa asked. Review protocols for bias triggers, ongoing training with scenarios, a passenger complaint system with follow-up. And for Karen consequences, but constructive. Daniel added, we won't press charges if Sky West commits to this. Karen's role depends on her owning this and helping fix it. Karen blinked, teary. You're not suing, and I'd train. If you face your bias, all of it, Elena said. People can grow, but it starts with truth. Ted seized the chance. Mrs. Torres Harper, consult with us, your insights invaluable. I will, she agreed. This is about change, not PR. The meeting wrapped with plans set, Karen visibly shaken but nodding. Weeks later, Elena stood beside Karen at a SkyWest training session, facing flight attendants. Karen shared her story bias she hadn't seen, stress that broke her, a slap that woke her up. Elena followed, voice steady. This isn't about one day, it's about every day, every passenger. We're changing that. Applause rose, a sign of hope. Afterward, alone, Karen said, I thought I'd lose everything. You could have, Elena replied. But this way, something better comes. Why me? Karen asked. Because it's bigger than us, Elena said. It's for everyone who's felt unseen. At home, Daniel texted, How'd it go? Lucas is flying his plane. Elena smiled, replying, Good. Progress. Home soon with a story for him and us. From pain came purpose, a legacy of compassion taking flight.